Supercell just announced some nerfs to some of the really popular and really good hero equipment, as well as some buffs to others that are not very good. So I want to talk about everything. Let's just dive into what I think everybody is here and what they want to hear about. We're going to pull up the nerfs first. I think that's what everybody's worried about. And first of all, we have a nerf to the earthquake boots. It is essentially lowering the damage 15 to 33%, it looks like, between the levels at max level, which I think most people using it have probably at this point or somewhat close to it. It only does 40% damage to buildings now instead of 60, which means all of the merged defenses will not be one-shot by the earthquake boots in spiky ball combo anymore. So that is actually a fairly noticeable nerf, but I still think that the earthquake boots and spiky ball combo will be very good. So it's not going anywhere, I don't think. I think that you will probably see a little bit more use from the giant gauntlet now, maybe with the rage vial again, because those two they have such a good synergy together. But yeah, this is it's the spiky boots and earthquake combo. One shot every building, even at Town Hall 17, except for the Town Hall. So this does make a little bit of sense to me. The radius and the range of the earthquake boots did not change at all, so it's still going to be a fantastic equipment, because one of the big benefits of it is that it opens walls for everything, right? So you're still going to get that, obviously. It's just not going to one-shot a lot of the really, really insane defenses anymore. So that makes sense to me. The fireball. Now, this is, I think, honestly, a fairly huge nerf for a couple of reasons. One, not everybody has their fireball at level 24 yet. So if your fireball is level 18 to 23 right now, yeah, you're going to feel this. There's less radius now. You're not going to hit nearly as many buildings with the fireball as you could before. And the second larger part of this nerf to the fireball is now, if you ever use the fireball in hard mode, it doesn't have the max range anymore. So the fireball gets a huge nerf to hard mode. But if you have your fireball level 24 to 27 in Legend League or CWL or War, obviously you're not going to see any nerf at all. But the fireball, man, in hard mode, yeah, that's a big nerf. You're not going to get nearly as many buildings with the fireball. I still think it'll get use because it's just such a good piece of equipment, and clumped bases are so popular right now that you'll still get some good value. But yeah, it's not going to be nearly as good in hard mode as it was before. So definitely get your fireball to level 24, and this nerf won't affect you at all. And then the Electro boots. This one makes a lot of sense to me too. I feel like the Electro boots are definitely pretty strong. 25% seems like a decent amount to chunk off of the max level. And you can see they slowly work their way up from a little bit of a nerf to a significant nerf by the time you get to level 27. At its max level, it gets a 25% nerf to the amount of healing per second. So you're going to have to be a little bit more careful with how you invis your Royal Champion on any of those Royal Champion charges now, because she's not going to heal up the damage as quickly, only 3/4 as much as she did before. And then the aura damage per second, that gets a 20% nerf at a max level. And you can see the other percentage changes throughout the other levels on the equipment as well. This one I don't think is as significant as the self-healing. You might not get as many buildings like as aggressively as you could before, but I don't think that one's as big a deal as the self-healing. You're still going to one-shot the skeletons. Oh, by the way, I didn't realize that the earthquake boots killed skeletons. I didn't know that. So I guess now I know. So the Electro boots, I know that a lot of people are going to be upset with these nerfs, because especially with the fireball, maybe a little bit. If you've got a level 24, you're probably not going to care that much. But the Electro boots, I'm telling you, they're still going to be very strong. You're still going to be able to do basically the same attack that you could before. Maybe just a little bit more careful with your invis spells, but it's still going to be one of the best equipments in the game. So I wouldn't worry too much about this not being very good anymore. And then the invis spells, they're just lowering the duration of each level by 1/4 of a second. And that's essentially what that number of hits means on the right-hand side there, is it's taking the number of ticks that the invisibility spell uses down by 1 each, which is 1/4 second per tick, if that makes sense. So just ignore the number of hits. I don't know why they even put that there. They should have just included the duration, and that was it. The ticks, I feel like, just confused a lot of people. But let's talk about some of the buffs as well. We've got One buff that I think will actually make a big difference in the game. We've got the Life Gem. Now, this one gets a pretty decent buff for every passive ability, which I guess it's just a passive equipment, so I don't know why I felt like I needed to say that. Especially the max HP increase, 20% at a max level, going from 870 max HP to 1050 is actually a huge buff to mid-level or mid-health like units like balloons or twin hogs or super bowlers maybe. Things like that are going to see a huge benefit from that buff, as well as the other passive benefits for the Warden, which are, they're nice, but they're less significant for any of those attacks, right? You get a little bit more HP and a little bit more DPS, which is nice. I mean, you'll take that. Is this enough to make this really popular again? Probably not. I think it will make it to where things are a little bit more usable, but I still think that the other Warden equipments just outshine this so significantly that you're not going to see it become popular. You'll probably see it used more, but it won't be popular, I don't think. And I'll eat my words if I'm wrong, but I don't think that this will replace any of the other equipment from the Warden. Maybe the Fireball while people don't have it leveled to 24, but and then the is this the Royal Gem? Is that what people even call this for the Royal Champion? I don't even think that very many people even know what this is. It's not a great equipment right now. It's definitely her worst equipment by far, and one of the worst in the game. And I still don't see these changes changing that. You can see for the damage, it increases by 15% almost at a max level, and then the health, 50% at a max level, which 200 extra health at a max level is, I mean, that's like one hit from a ricochet cannon, so it's still not going to do a whole lot for you. I still don't think this equipment's going to be very good. So don't waste your ores if you haven't leveled that up already. The Life Gem, though, you might be able to find use for that. So that one might actually be good. And then let's go to the last page of the buffs. Now, the Vamp Stash. It actually gets a pretty significant buff in terms of the damage that you can do with it. But with the lower town halls, I think that this will just still be pretty good. All right, the Vamp Stash is okay at lower town halls like 14 and lower, but at 15 when they have like the poison spells or the poison towers and the other things that can kind of slow your king down, or the higher health walls and stuff, I feel like the Vamp Stash it really dies off at about Town Hall 15 and just becomes almost useless by Town Hall 17. So I don't think this is going to be a piece of equipment that you're going to use on the king still. There's just so many defenses that can slow him down. And then with the new addition, like in the February update, I'm pretty sure they've announced this now, that like the pets that you have paired with your hero are going to be on defense now. So like if you have the Poison Lizard on your Warden, it will be on defense and it'll slow the king down even more. So, just kidding. No pets on defense. Then the Barbarian Puppet and the Archer Puppet. I really almost feel like I shouldn't even talk about these because they're so bad, and they're going to be so bad that I don't think anybody's going to use them still. 10% buff at essentially across the board on every level. I still think they're going to be basically useless at almost any town hall where you have other equipment available. So I guess if you're starting out the game at like town hall 8, 9, 10 or whatever, you'll use these and these will be nice. But anywhere else, I don't think that anybody's going to use these. So let's talk about the pros and cons. Pros. Anytime Supercell rushes the buffs and the nerfs out like this, it feels like they rush it out, right? Because they kind of announced it a little bit last second. I almost always agree with the changes that they make, like with this or with the Druids or the other hero equipment nerfs that they have done in the past. But I almost always disagree with the timing. The timing seems always pretty terrible, right? Like they nerfed the Druids like, the day before CWL, a 50% nerf? It didn't give people very much time to practice other strategies or to get good with other things. I think that the timing seems odd with this too, because we know, I'm assuming we're going to be getting new levels for defenses here in just a couple of weeks. And I think that it would have been a good idea to wait and see how these equipments perform once we have available like all of the maxed Town Hall 17s. And then we can see where they needed to be nerfed. But what I worry is going to happen is that we're going to nerf the equipment and buff the defense at the same time, and that will it'll almost cause like a shock to it was pun unintended, but we'll take it to the players, right? Because you're going to have a little bit worse equipment, but also a little bit better defenses, and it'll take some getting used to. But Again, I do think the changes are probably needed. The Electro boots are just insane. I did a video a while back where I just ran 14 invisibility spells and just used like super minions to clean up buildings, and I could 3-star most of the building, or most of the Town Hall 17s with that, and hooked. I don't know if you saw his video. He just did like 14 invisibility spells and then just 10 E-Titans and just kind of spam them all over the place. And he was able to triple Town Hall 17s just with 14 invisibility spells. That's just how good the equipment was. And with the slightly shorter duration of the invisibility spells and the slight nerf of the Electro boots, you'll feel it a little bit, but they're here to stay. They're still going to be so good. You're still going to be able to 3-star fairly easily and go 320 fairly easily with all of these armies and stuff. The timing a little bit, like with the ending in 6 and invising on like 256 or whatever, and then 250. I don't think that's going to change very much too, right? You might have to adjust a fraction of a second, right? Quarter of a second per 10 seconds. So it's not going to change that very much either. So it's still going to be fairly easy to get the timing down. But yeah, again, I agree with the changes. I think that they probably needed to happen. All of that stuff feels strong. I feel for you guys if you feel like you've wasted ores into, especially the epic equipment, because it's got the starry ore. But I'm telling you, the Fireball level 24, it's obviously unchanged, so don't worry about that. But the Electro boots, they're still going to be so good. So don't worry that you're going to suck if you've sunk your ores into these equipment. They're still going to be very good. They're here to stay. I promise you're still going to kill bases and probably have 15 dragons left over at the end of the raid if you do the Spirit Walk with 11 invis spells or whatever. But that's going to do it. Yeah, well, again, the timing I think could have been a little bit better, but you can't win every battle, right? But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Yeah, come at me at the pitchforks in the comments now. For some reason, every time I make a video like this, everybody gets mad at me on behalf of Supercell. I have nothing to do with these, but yeah, you can come get mad at me. I don't care. We'll see you guys next time.